This is James Jewett from Leia 56, and this is how it's done. Today we're going to teach you how to make some salsa, and believe it or not, this salsa is going to be both better and cheaper than that crap you're going to find in the supermarket. Don't get anything in a jar, you know, whatever else kind of container they put it in. You want this fresh stuff that you're going to make yourself. It's going to be better and cheaper. We'll talk about that a bit more later. First thing you're going to need for salsa is obviously some kind of tomato. You can get these nice little diced tomatoes in this 28-ounce can. You'll need 2 of these. Now, the thing about these tomatoes is you actually want the canned ones most of the time if you're not going to grow these tomatoes yourself, because canned tomatoes, thank you, can actually be a little bit better tasting than the fresh ones you'll buy in the supermarket, because a lot of times those are picked when they're green and they just sit on shelves and turn red, and they're not really that good. So these are usually picked at the peak of their freshness, and they'll be good. So the next thing you're going to need, some green peppers. Thank you. And you'll need another one of these, but only if you want to. It really depends on your preferences whether you want 1 or 2. It depends how much you like the taste of green pepper. Sometimes 2 is too much, but it kind of depends on the mood you're in. You can also use red if you like that. You might also need an onion. Where could I get an onion? Aha! Here's an onion. You want to find a small to medium onion. You don't want one that's too big, or else you're going to be tasting this stuff for days. So yeah, not too much to say about this. Just get a white onion, not yellow, not red, just normal small medium white onion. Okay, next thing you're going to need goes with the onion. It's garlic. And you're going to want to, they sell them in these big head things, but you really only need a couple of cloves of it. So, I mean, find the smallest one you can find unless you're going to use it for something else, because otherwise you might end up just wasting it. So, but, yep, garlic, it's pretty basic. So, next thing, a little more complicated, lime juice. Not immediately obvious, but a lot of salsa recipes have lime juice in it. And it just adds a little bit of acidity, a little bit of flavor to the salsa, keeps everything fresh, makes it pretty good. Don't use too much though. Alright, let's see, cilantro. Cilantro makes good salsa. Believe it or not, if you don't have this, then it's not, I don't know, this is really important. Don't get parsley either, unless you really can't stand cilantro, because I just love this stuff. You can tell if it's good too by smelling it. So tell by the smell. Okay, make sure to get good cilantro. Next thing you're going to need for salsa, in my opinion, is some heat. So you want to pick out some peppers that are right for you. If you are kind of a beginner, you can start off with either jalapenos, or I kind of like serrano peppers. So these guys are actually pretty hot. You don't have to use a lot of them though, and you kind of get more bang for your buck with these than you do with jalapenos. They're about 20 to 30,000 Scoville units, just for comparison to our next candidate. If you're a little bit more adventurous, you can try some habanero peppers. Now, I say if you're a little bit more adventurous, but I wouldn't really recommend this. To find out why, you can go on YouTube, search for habanero, and you're going to find a lot of very silly people eating these things, and they become very sorry people very soon. So, but we'll see. Maybe we'll use a couple of these today. We'll see. And the last thing you might need, but maybe not, is just a little bit of salt. You don't really need much salt. You might, it just depends. But don't put in too much, because, I mean, high blood pressure, that kind of stuff, yeah, not good. So we can't just, you can't just take a big bite out of this stuff. You need to chop it up, so you'll need a nice sharp knife. Less accidents happen with sharp knives. Thank you. But still be very careful. None of this action. Don't want none of that. Don't want any, anything going in the salsa that's not supposed to be in the salsa. So be careful.
the kitchen, and what I've done already is I've washed all of our ingredients, and I've taken 1 can of the tomatoes and I opened it and I turned it upside down with the lid still on so that it drains out, so we get rid of the juice out of that can. But we want some juice, so I've taken the other can of tomatoes, and as you can see I've just split it up between these 2 bowls here. And so we've got some tomatoes and juice in there, and the next thing I'm going to put in is lime juice. So you want just, I don't know, a good squeeze about like that in each bowl. And that's good because it'll start mixing around and the flavors will get all mixed up. So I'm going to start chopping some of these other vegetables here, bell peppers, the onion, and then I'll get back to you in a minute. So I'm just going to chop these up. And I've chopped up all the onion and all the green pepper, and I've put it into the 2 separate bowls. So we're just going to give this a quick stir now. Alright, so now that we've got that stirred up, we're just going to keep working on the rest of our ingredients. And these guys, they're going to sit in there and they're going to start mixing together, having a good time. Onion's going to be like, "Hey tomato, how are you?" And tomato's going to be like, "I'm pretty good, let's make some salsa." And it's going to really start working together, getting better. So now I'm going to work on doing the garlic, getting the cilantro in there, and we'll come back. Hey, hello again. Now we're going to do some of these hot peppers. And I've decided that my friends and I, we're pretty tolerant of heat. So for our mild bowl, I'm going to use 2 serrano peppers, 1 and 2. So you don't want to eat the stems on these, so just take those right off. Okay, then just kind of cut them lengthwise, and you can start chopping. Okay, I'll finish those up in a minute, but first let's talk about the hot bowl. We're going to use 1 habanero pepper for the hot bowl, and that's going to be really, really, really hot. So prepare yourselves. It might knock you out through the video. So watch out. Okay. I want to take the stem off this too. You want to be really, really careful not to touch it and touch your eyes. I should be wearing gloves. I'm not. I might pay for it later, but here we go. Okay, it's off. I'm going to chop this up. And so we're just about finished up with this salsa. I put in the hot peppers. I decided to hold back just a little bit on the habanero because they're pretty strong, so I only put in half of it. And I've taken those tomatoes that we had draining in the sink earlier, and all the juice had drained out from them. I mixed half those into each bowl, and then I've been stirring it up. And now all we need to do is add maybe just a little dash of salt here. And that's how it's done.